Mr. Crocket is a 2024 horror film that premiered October 11, 2024 on Hulu. It's directed by Brandon Espy and written by Brandon Espy and Carl Reed. It is based on the short film of the same name, which was produced for Hulu's bite-sized Halloween anthology series in 2022, which was during season 3, and that episode was episode 10. Now, if you have seen that short film, then you know the premise of what this movie is. It's almost identical. This film runs for 88 minutes long, so just under 90 minutes. The movie is set in 1993 and tells the story of a mother named Summer, played by Jakara Hinton, who tries to deal with her hyperactive son Major, played by Aidan Gavin, who is obsessed with a children's TV show called Mr. Crocket. Mr. Crocket is played by Elvis Nolasco. Now, Summer, over the course of the movie, is annoyed and tired of her son always watching this show. Now, what the feature goes into more than the short film is the lore, the deepening lore of what Mr. Crocket is, who he is, and why he kills parents and kidnaps children. And it's kind of in a way you see that the parents are kind of bullying their kids, kind of talking down on them, but then Mr. Crocket takes these kids into his own world for the happiness and the, forgetting everything that's going on in their real world while he comes out of the TV set in order to kill the parents. It's really, really interesting, and you could say that Mr. Crocket is more like a savior in a way, but it's kind of interesting because he kind of wants to do certain things, and it's kind of a mix of Mr. Rogers meets Pee-wee's Playhouse, meets Barney and Friends, meets Freddy Krueger, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and The Ring, because something is coming out of your television set. The so-called mascots and the set designs are reminiscent of those shows that I just mentioned, and it's very different. Now, the mascots are creepy in their own way because you have the idea of mascots being whether at Chuck E. Cheese, clowns, or Five Nights at Freddy's, and you just see mascots now. Some are fun, some are friendly, some are scary, some are creepy. And these more so lean toward the fun and creepy way. But just the design of it is just so good. The colors are bright. You have the purple hues, you have the orange, the black. You have the whole entire rainbow in this movie, picking on certain colors and how it plays with the mind and the psychological aspect of when you see a certain color, it does play tricks on you, which has been scientifically proven. And what is creepy and scary about this movie is how happy Mr. Crocket looks with a calm demeanor, and all of a sudden, within a blink of an eye, he is this scary, creepy madman who becomes sort of like a bad guy, but it's a bad guy you want to root for because of what the parents are doing to their own kids, especially how certain things are done. The world of Mr. Crocket is more so psychological horror, which works really well in this movie. The kills are kind of not that interesting, but it makes you go, wow, holy shit, that's different. Haven't seen that done before. And just the way he kills the parents, and it's like, oh, okay. It's like, well, certain ways the parents are trying to help their kids, but then they're not because they're treating them certain ways. And Mr. Crocket is supposedly the good guy, if you kind of can think about that. I mean, someone coming out of your TV and coming after you is pretty scary. Of course, we all know The Ring and how, that aspect of something coming out is creepy and kind of stays with you. This harkens on that. Even with I Saw the TV Glow, which came out this year, there's a lot of mixtures of different horror films in this movie. Now, not only are the child actors so convincing in how they play their roles, being immersed in the world of Mr. Crocket, you can see the happiness that they're having when they watch the show. They're so entranced. They're so into it. I mean, when you're my age and you're growing up in the 80s or 90s and kids shows just immensely kind of took over your life because that's what it was, and you watch things now, it's like, wow, you remember this, you remember that. That's what kind of these kids are going through. But when something comes out of your TV set, that's even creepier. What did stand out is Elvis Nolasco as Mr. Crocket. He really puts his all in this movie, and he was my favorite part. The movie does move fast in a fast pace. There are some moments where it's very emotional, and you're like, okay, this is really interesting, and it's just that emotional fear and dread turns to shock, scary, and creepy really quickly with how Mr. Crocket does things. There's a theme song that was stuck in your head after you watch this film, and there's just certain subliminal images that when you see certain things, you're just like, oh, it's just ingrained in your mind. This is one of those films where Hulu is trying to put out and dish out original indie horror content, and I absolutely love that. A lot of short films in the past 10 years have been turned into feature films, and even the director and writer of these short films are directing their own feature films from the said source, which is really, really good. This was fun. This was interesting. I want to see more. I want to see more aspect of what can happen, what is going on, and how it's like the Candyman, I want to say, for this generation of horror fans. If you don't like films like this, if they creep you out, don't watch it. But it's a fun, different take on a children's show, horror, the psychological aspect of things, and how it's done. The cinematography and the editing are so good that for me, when you're in the Mr. Crocket world, that's what I call it. I call it the Mr. Crocket world. There is a name for it, but when you're in that world, you see the Dutch angles. I'm a sucker for Dutch angles. As a filmmaker, I love that camera work and technique. It just has a kind of uneasiness to it, and it works so well if executed right. And then with the Dutch angle, you have the color lighting of the aspect of what it is. Not only that, the outfit that Mr. Crocket wears, it's sort of reminiscent of other horror icons of the past. Freddy has his red and green sweater. Mr. Crocket has his bow tie, the yellow shirt, the red sweater. I mean, the director knew what he was doing when he made this film, and seeing Hulu give him a chance and to write and direct a feature of this, which is 88 minutes, it's perfect. A horror film that comes under just a bit of 90 minutes is always good. For me, Mr. Crocket gets 3 out of 5 stars. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about Mr. Crocket. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of it? What did you think about the aspect of the story, the scariness, the horror? Did you like this, how it was done? Have you seen the short film that it's based off of? If not, will you be checking it out now? Then will you be watching this? And do you like how short horror films are turning into feature films? And what is your favorite short horror film that is turned into a feature? And what rating would you give Mr. Crocket? Let me know in the comment section below about all the questions I just asked. I'm Mr. Filmstock. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next review video.